Erica Young writes here at After College Transition. Thanks so much for tuning in. I am so excited. Thank you for the comments that you've made on the blog, on social media. For those of you who have emailed me personally, thank you for engaging this content. That is so exciting to me, and I love hearing from you. If you're just tuning in, this is a series of several videos for those who are serious about preparing students to thrive in their transition out of college. And so it's totally okay to binge watch this series. I recommend, if you haven't looked at any of the other videos, to start at the beginning and take in the content. I'm excited to share these things with you. To recap, in that first video, we talked a little bit about why this matters, why it's so important that we intervene in the lives of students. And I shared a couple things you can use right away in your context. I also shared in the second video some of the best features of any intervention, and I asked the question of who's responsible for our seniors and our students. So check those videos out if you haven't already. My guess is that you're watching these videos because you want to get something started in your context, or you want to take what you're doing to the next level. I'm thrilled to say that I can take you there. I can get you to where you want to be, from your current place to your desired place. I would love to be able to help you do that. I've heard from many of you over the years, and you are aware of what we have going on here in State College. It was a full-year program that prepared students for life after college called Senior Exit, and you were aware of what we had going on, and you wanted to know what is happening. How can that translate into my context? And so I have loved working with you guys over the years, and every time I hear from you, when you give me feedback, even those of you who filled out the survey, it allows me to know what I can offer you, what you're looking for, and so thank you for that really valuable feedback. Don't take my word for it. I would love for you guys to just hear some of the success stories of other people I've worked with in the past. And so you can look on the blog here, look on the professional services page and see some of those success stories. One of them is from a college out in Michigan, Hope College, and I loved working with the team out there. They had a partnership between Senior Seminar, Chapel, and Career Services, and several other faculty members across campus. All these different pockets of campus came together to, they wanted to build something to intervene in the lives of their students. And so together we built Life After College, which launched in January 2017, and I'll share a little bit more about that in a little bit. And I just love when these things get started across the nation, and I'm excited to see what you might be cooking up in your location. I did promise that this video would address some things about place and space, and so I will share a little bit about that right now. Some of you may be familiar with the author Meg Jay of The Defining Decade, and she talks about the adult life is made up of person, place, and thing. And she encourages 20-somethings that as they're trying to figure out their next steps out of college, to think about what one of those things they might know something about and then build from there. Now, sometimes when we're discerning, we have no clue on maybe all three of those. And when our students are trying to figure things out, I think they often hone in on the thing, on that job. Where am I going to get that job after college? And I think sadly, our students sometimes have a very impoverished sense of place, of the importance of the where. They're so focused on the what that sometimes they miss the really important part of the where. And so one thing that we can do to intervene in the lives of students is give them a robust theology of place to help them consider the where of their post-college decisions. And I love in Senior Exit and working with students when students realize that, wow, I can choose the people and the place even before I choose the job. And it makes sense in this economic time that students are choosing the job first, but if we can help them shift their paradigm a bit and consider, is this job going to be in a location where I can flourish? Or cast a vision for staying in a place, helping them realize that they can commit to a location for its flourishing and their own. I was just meeting with a student recently who is committed to staying in a certain place because that's where she's found community. And so I love when we can encourage our students with that robust theology of place. And I love that book title, Staying is the New Going. Some of our students may choose to stay in the area of their alma mater because they've found life there and they want to continue to commit to the good of that place. So that's one thing to think about as you're working with students. In a moment here, I'm going to show you a really large map that we like to use with our students. And so I'll bring that out in just a second here. So this is a geographical map that we use in our senior exit program, and each time the students show up at exit, they place a pin where they think they're going to head after college. And usually it's when they know where they're going to head after college. And so if they don't know, they place a pin in this big sea of unknown. And part of what I love about that, it normalizes that so many of them don't know what's next. Now, we ran a full year program, and so at the beginning of the year, there were a lot of pins in the unknown. And then we would make a really big deal when someone figured out what's next. And we would have a little pin ceremony of them moving their pin. And oftentimes students would realize, oh, so-and-so's headed to Pittsburgh, I'm headed to Pittsburgh, and they would get connected to one another. Other students felt like, wow, I'm not alone, that I am in the unknown. I think about our teachers who maybe didn't get their contracts until after graduation. And so we made a big deal about the geographical place where students were headed and really celebrated that. I think that's important. We also made sure to never reduce the journey to just those things, because students who don't know where they're headed afterwards can feel like they're not prepared for life after college. And so we actually had a separate map where we celebrated different parts of the journey that were knowns for them. Maybe they knew they were getting married out of college, or they knew they wanted to work with children, they just didn't know where. And so we had another map where we celebrated that. But it's so important to give our students a good theology of place. Related to place and space and where is also like where we host our programming, those places where we gather with students. When I was working with folks at Hope College, one thing I really encouraged them was to think about a physical space. If they're going to have these important conversations with students, what physical space is conducive to that? And so they picked a location on campus with lots of big windows and a very welcoming space, and even had architectural input on how to design that space. And spaces really matter. We're aesthetic people, and so paying attention to that, what kind of spaces are going to allow our students to have those conversations. George Koo, who has contributed a lot to the conversation on college student success, on what are those things that help students persist to graduation, also put out a lot on deep learning, what is conducive to students learning really well during the college years. And he and a number of other contributors acknowledge some of those schools where really deep learning is taking place. And one thing they mention is those schools that are able to leverage the spaces on campus for student learning are those where deep learning is happening. And so I encourage you, maybe like us, you will find yourselves lugging Oriental rugs onto campus, or pole lighting, things to just make the space really welcoming. And even on a very micro level, thinking about if you're just having one-on-one conversations with students. Research shows that even the mere presence of a cell phone on the table changes the conversation that someone's willing to have. And so thinking about space, even in our little everyday ways and ordinary lives, matters. I also think anything that we're doing for students should communicate, we love you, we value you, we thank you that you're here. And so I love the food spreads that we put out. I remember one year a student was like, I am just here for the bacon. It's okay if students come for the bacon and maybe leave with something really, really good in addition to the food. And so think about those things as you're putting stuff together. Some of you may feel overwhelmed, like, I don't know if I have a good space on campus. Don't worry about that right now. This is just something to get you thinking and started. Some of you may feel overwhelmed at where do I even begin, or I'm not sure I'm ready to take my thing to the next level. Here's the good news. There is no one single solution, no one size fits all solution to the problem of preparing students for life after college. There are so many different things that people are doing across the nation that really encourage me, and there's things from each one of those that is valuable. And so don't get hung up on it has to look this exact certain way. I will say though that there are proven principles that are transferable to any location, and there's a process that I can take you through that can get you to where you want to be. And so that is transferable to any context, and I'm excited to share some of those things with you. In the next video, I'm going to give you a really exciting opportunity. I can't wait to roll it out. And so if you're not yet on updates, I recommend that you subscribe now. It's coming out very soon, and it will be a limited time offer. And so if you want to jump on that, you want to make sure that you stay tuned for the next video. I can't wait to share it with you. I hope you'll tune in. Thank you.